Dear Diary, when I was 17, I wrote an elaborate 10-year plan for my life. I honestly thought that by 27, things would be far more stable, whatever stable means. Instead, here we are. I quit my job, left New York City, and I'm trying to pursue content and startups. Here I am trying to chart my own path. My life is the exact opposite of stable. It has been almost 6 months, and I thought that by now things would be more clear, that I would have gotten something and have moved to SF. But instead, I have found myself facing even more questions and uncertainty. For one, I used to be so sure that I wanted to live in California, but now, not anymore. After initially struggling with that uncertainty, I have learned to make peace with it. In fact, I am living hand in hand with it. I feel like part of what makes life harder is usually our own mind, when we wish things are different or when we worry about things before it's time. I don't want to make things harder than they already are. After all, uncertainty is a consequence of pursuing your own path. There is so much uncertainty in my life right now, but instead of forcing out the answers that simply are just not there yet, I'm going to take it one day at a time. After all, it is part of the journey. Who knows where this journey will take me, but I have faith that right now is exactly where I need to be, and that this story is going to be a good one. So disgustingly windy today. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Joy. I quit my job as a software engineer in New York City earlier this year to give myself a year or two to create content and to start a company. I wanted so badly to leave corporate New York City because I wanted to see what else was out there for me. For over 5 years, I've been heads down thinking that corporate was the only path for me. To say that my life has been pretty uncertain is an understatement, but we will get to that in a bit. When it came to the decision itself, it was something I thought about for over a year. Fortunately, I had saved up enough money to last me a while without a job. I honestly underestimated how uncertain and crazy my life was going to be the moment I decided to leave my job and also New York City. Was it scary? Is it scary? Absolutely. I'm scared out of my mind all the time, but I try to remind myself two things. Being brave means doing things when you're scared. It's not being scared when you're doing scary things. And the biggest risk you can take in your life is not taking one at all. So since I didn't want to go through my savings at like a crazy rate, I decided to move back home temporarily. But after moving back home for a few months, I decided that I was not really progressing in the ways that I would like. So I'm back here in the US. And since I've been back, I actually haven't been growing on YouTube as much as I would like. I split with my co-founder, and initially I thought I wanted to live in California, but I'm not so sure anymore. To say that things are not going exactly as I planned is an understatement. Anyways, I decided to give myself up until the end of the year to figure it out, whatever that means, including where to live next. With no job, no significant other quite to anchor me down, realizing that I can virtually create content and start a company anywhere, I sort of realized that if I wanted to, I could technically live in Alaska. So right now I'm just creating content, working on the startup while bouncing around my friends' place so that I don't have to pay for rent and kind of gauge how each city makes me feel. Everything is so uncertain and it's not going exactly the way I planned. It's okay, we'll get there. At first, I was very overwhelmed and anxious because of the array of possible choices and ways my life could go from here. I've been living out of a suitcase for the last month and will be doing so for the next few months, and it's just so crazy. And initially, I did grieve the lack of certainty, not having one place to tie me down, not having a significant other, but I realized that having so many options is in itself a privilege, because when else will I be able to sort of take a year of my life to figure out what I want to do, where I want to live, you know? And it's something definitely that gets harder to do as you get older. So instead of seeing this period as a stressful time, which honestly it really is, but to also recognize the privilege behind it, being young enough and healthy enough to be able to choose and move around as I like, having had good enough jobs that allowed me to make enough to save up for this period of my life. When you frame it that way, it doesn't sound all that bad, right? The great part of the internet and just posting is I've been able to make so many new friends. I now have new friends from all over the world, and now I know so many people who quit their jobs to do YouTube or to start a company or have started a company, which in January, I did not know any of these people, and now they inspire me so much. And I also have a friend who moved to Australia from Malaysia, and that's like wild to me. I think before this, I always thought that you could only live in like one or two places, and it's sort of made me realize with grit, a little bit of toughness, and a little bit of imagination, you can literally be anything you want. A chocolate cookie brownie thingy. Damn, this is so good. Not gonna lie, all of this uncertainty kind of sucks. I keep thinking when or if I'll ever get to a point where I have the answers. I just have so many questions. What will I be doing in a few months? And what will I be doing in a year? I feel like the answers to those two questions can potentially be very different. Where will I be doing it? In New York? Outside of LA? If I'll ever meet my significant other? When I'll meet my significant other? The more I try to find the answer, the more it keeps eluding me. And sometimes it can feel like I'm the only person in the room with all these questions. But I realize that trying to find the answer to questions that currently I'm not supposed to have the answers to, it's just gonna drive me crazy. And so I made a pact to myself that I will embrace life and all of the uncertainty, especially towards the end of this year. Sometimes I worry that I will be in this life phase forever, that I will forever be single, forever be in this uncertain period of trying to make a startup work and have my YouTube channel be stagnant forever. Well, I sort of realized a few things about being worried. There's always something to worry about, and a lot of the time these worries are valid. But I realized that if I think about the worst case scenario for everything, if I live my life thinking about how things are just gonna spiral, I will be living a life based off of fear and anxiety. I don't know about you, but if you've watched Inside Out 2, for me, living in fear and anxiety is such a painful way to live. Your mind is literally a prison that limits you from living freely, and to me, I really don't want to live that way. And here's the other thing I sort of realized about the bad things, the scary things that we're so afraid of. Most of the time in life, the truly bad things that unfortunately happen, you can't really forecast it or see it coming. There's a part of your brain that thinks that if you can't foresee it coming, then you can stop it. But the truth is, the really bad things that happen to us, we can't see them coming. But when you try to live your life constantly looking over your shoulder, constantly thinking, how is this gonna go wrong? It stops you from embracing the present. I don't know about you, but when I look back on my life, I never regret wishing that I had worried more. But I always wish that I was more present, that I worried less. For me, as I'm navigating this really uncertain period of my life, I just have a baseline. As long as I have a place to live for the next 2 weeks, and I'm making progress by putting out YouTube videos and pushing out code changes every day, then it's okay. For as long as I'm continuing to say yes to coffee chats and meeting people in real life, that in itself is enough. Because you can't force things to happen when it's not the time. So as long as I hit those baselines of like putting myself out there, being open to experiences, making real progress, knowing where to live for the next 2 weeks, and I'm not going into debt, not making any crazy financial decisions in the moment up until December, then it's okay. As long as I like the direction my life is going, that is enough. Because the things I have to worry about tomorrow, they will still be there tomorrow. The things I need to worry about in 4 months, they will still be there in 4 months. But if I reject all this uncertainty and try to front load all these worries, what will happen instead is I'm gonna spiral. I'm not gonna be able to live in the present. I really hope that eventually life gets to a point where things are far more certain, because as much as I'm trying to embrace uncertainty, I don't think I can keep doing this forever. But I will say that there are some silver linings that come with this really uncertain period in my life. I got to spend more than a month with my parents, which is something I haven't been able to do since 2018. I got to visit my brother in Australia for the first time, which I haven't done ever. I got to spend so much time with my friends who I love and adore so much. I got to go biking. I got to serendipitously meet new people. And these are all things that I feel like even though life has been uncertain, this has been the gift of life to me, and I'm trying to hold on to that. So I believe fundamentally in life comes with choices and consequences. If you choose to pursue your own path, which is what I'm choosing, then I have to live with this uncertainty, because if I don't want this uncertainty, it means I don't genuinely want to pursue my own path, and that's okay. And I really have full faith that good things will happen eventually. Things will happen when you least expect it. And for now, as much as I'm trying to love all this uncertainty that comes with trying to carve out my own path in my 20s, and I've learned to love it a little bit more than the beginning of the year, although I will say that I sometimes still have my grievances with it. I think at my core, I believe that this uncertain period, this time, is something that I have to go through. I have full faith that right now is exactly where I need to be. There's not really much use in fighting it or wishing things were different. If you just wish things are different, the highway to misery is easily wishing things were different and not having your actions aligned to it. Or better yet, I would say that the secret to happiness is living in alignment with the person you want to be and the person you are today. And the person I want to be is an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur means you have to go through these crazy uncertainties. I've learned to accept that as part of the package of life and pursuing my dreams. The alternative to not embracing this uncertainty is finding a job right now, which is what I think I'm not ready for at the moment. If by the end of December, nothing happens, nothing's working out, I will wholeheartedly look for a 9 to 5 job that I will dedicate my heart and soul into for the next few years. So a lot of it is learning to embrace life as it is. Uncertainty is always part of life, and that if you want to think about every single thing to worry about, all the things that could go possibly wrong, the list is endless. And the best things that happen to us in our lives are never planned. Ultimately, I believe everything happens for a reason and in due time, sometimes in the timeline that we don't like, that it's okay to feel sad, disappointed, and scared, but we shouldn't let all those emotions dictate how we live our day to day. That living in the present is so precious, and we need to truly embrace life and today as it is, and that there's always something to worry about. But if you're so fixated on your worries, you'll never be able to embrace the present day. And the best things in life come in ways you can't expect. So that is my 101 on how I've tried and am learning to embrace uncertainty. Although my life is not exactly how my 15-year-old self would like, it is my life and it is the reality. Let go of the desire to control and trust, and I promise you that life will surprise you. And remember that nothing lasts forever, not the good days, and especially not the bad, uncertain times. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you, bye.